It's intriguing, isn't it, when you pause to consider it? Here we stand, billions of souls orbiting this azure orb through the cosmos, all harboring that identical longing, that universal yearning. We cloak it in various guises naturally. For some, it's labeled isolation. For others, a quest for meaning. A few pursue it via accomplishments, while many seek it in material gains. Yet, peel back the layers of pretense, the artful facades, and what's left at the core? The innate craving to give love and receive it in return. It's the essence of humanity itself, more primal than the drive for food, more enduring than the search for safety. After all, you might satisfy your appetite, secure a place to rest, and yet feel profoundly hollow inside, drifting through existence like a specter, invisible, unfelt, unrecognized. And yet, and this is the captivating twist, we've bungled it so spectacularly. We've transformed the purest, most instinctive aspect of life into a tangled web, a calculated exchange, a source of anguish that rivals anything in the human condition. Why is that? Because we've blurred the line between the semblance of affection and the genuine article. We've conflated the deal with the substance. Allow me to pose a question. When did you first grasp that affection came with strings attached? Reflect on it. Travel back in time. Maybe as a kid you observed how warmth flowed more readily when you behaved well, tidying up, earning top grades. Maybe you realized grins appeared more often if you proved helpful, stayed quiet, molded yourself to others' expectations. Or it could have dawned during those initial sparks of courtship, when you learned that holding interest demanded a show, being captivating enough, appealing enough, accomplished enough. In those instances, a kernel took hold, the notion that affection is a reward, granted only upon fulfilling certain criteria. But here's the peril of that kernel. Once it sprouts, it blossoms into a thicket of misconceptions. By your 30s or 40s, having accumulated enough years to glimpse the truth, you start to see the odd charade you've enacted. You've bartered fragments of your essence for fleeting bits of regard. You've acted on a stage where the crowd remains perpetually unappeased, and the weariness, the sheer drain of it. Let me explain what unfolds when you construct affection on stipulations. You fashion something that mimics love, echoes it, even simulates its warmth briefly, but deep down, it's altogether different. It's a pact, a compact. You supply my wants, and I'll supply yours. You play this role for me, and I'll play that for you. For a stretch, maybe months, even decades, the agreement endures. The ledger evens out. Everyone upholds their end. Thus, the edifice persists. But no one warns you about the brittleness of such pacts. They hinge utterly on both sides upholding the clauses, and existence, in its unpredictable fashion, conspires to disrupt that. You mature, you evolve, your situation alters. The self who struck the bargain isn't the self today. The same holds for your counterpart. The foundation rests on unstable ground, presuming people are static, foreseeable, steadfast like a legal document demands. But we're not mechanisms. We're streams. We're tempests. We're in perpetual flux, reshaping into forms beyond our prior selves. So, what occurs when the clauses prove untenable? When you can't deliver as anticipated? Perhaps unemployment strikes, erasing the stability you provided. Perhaps sickness arrives, dimming the vitality or allure that drew them in. Perhaps you just weary of the pretense. In that instant, the veil slips. The glow you mistook for passion unveils as mere duty, routine, or worse, utter vacancy, a cold gaze replacing once soft care. I've witnessed it endlessly. A partner pouring years into fidelity, loyalty, attendance, only to awaken one morning knowing they were never fully perceived. They served a function. They filled a gap. But were they cherished? Not with the depth the spirit demands, not in the sustaining manner, and the sting of that awareness. It's akin to realizing you've addressed a void the entire time. You believed in an attentive ear, but it was merely your own reverberation. This defines love bound by conditions. It's not inherently malicious. Few intend to wound. Yet, when affection rests on actions over identity, it inevitably falls short, because actions shift, offerings deplete. And if that's your soul worth, then with their absence, affection vanishes too. Now, I must emphasize this plainly. I'm not claiming that connections ought to exclude reciprocity. Absolutely, they ought to. Love instinctively shows up in acts of caring, in serving others, in tuning into what someone else truly requires. Yet there's a vast gap between offering from a place of abundance and offering out of anxiety. The first is like an effortless spill from a soul bursting with plenty. The second is a frantic effort to lock in devotion, to prevent abandonment, to demonstrate your value. You sense that contrast, right? When gifts come from a sense of wholeness, they carry an ease, a delight. No tallying up points, no hovering for an identical payback. They share simply because sharing feels fulfilling on its own. The gesture alone sparks joy in them, but when offerings stem from a void, from longing, they feel heavy, oppressive. You pick up on those unseen ties, the quiet demands that you must repay in kind. And that isn't love. That's just a deal wrapped in tender disguises. The sad truth is, so many of us were conditioned since we were kids to play these games of exchange. We figured out young that affection had to be won, that warmth came as a prize for acting right. So we pass our days striving to measure up, chasing the rules, grasping for the connection we yearn for. But it falls short, doesn't it? Even if we hit every mark, even if we nail it all perfectly, that nagging doubt lingers. We're not really understood. That if the facade cracked, if they glimpsed the raw us under the show, they'd walk. And that's how we chain ourselves. We lock into bonds where authenticity has no room, where opening up feels impossible, where downtime is a myth. We're forever switched on, forever acting, forever upholding the fantasy that we're the version they signed up for. And the weariness builds relentlessly, year by year, era by era, sucking the vitality straight from your core. You turn into an empty shell, mimicking the routine, puzzled why what should have been bliss now weighs like lead. Let me share a bit about authentic love, the sort that doesn't sour into bitterness. It's no negotiation, no agreement, no, you do this for me, and I'll do that for you. Genuine love means liberation. Liberation to show up as your true self, no faking, no scripting. It's about being witnessed, fully seen in your chaos and flaws, and still held dear, not for any merits you've racked up, but just for being alive. Here's the twist, though, and it's a major one. You can't embrace that love until you've started extending it to yourself. This is the tough truth everyone dodges. We all hope some ideal partner will show up and patch our inner gaps, that their care will mend the scars, affirm our value, complete us. But that's not how it plays out. It never can. A soul famished for acceptance will, in some dark recess, twist even its kindest moves into barters. Sure, it'll extend, but it'll track, weigh, anticipate the payback. Ponder that. When you're aching for approval, each nice deed you perform hides a wordless beg. Return the feeling. Notice me, pick me, and the recipient, even unaware, picks up that load. They sense the pressure, the craving, the insistence. It builds a tension that true warmth can't endure. Because lasting love, the real deal, demands breathing room. It needs the liberty to offer or withhold, to linger or leave, without the whole bond being threatened. So, how do you be? Wreak free from that frantic hunger for love? How do you nourish yourself so thoroughly that no one else has to affirm your right to be? The response is straightforward, yet challenging. You have to reconcile with who you are, not in some superficial feel-good manner, but by genuinely embracing your essence, every facet, the bits that shine and the ones you conceal, the wins and the stumbles, the allure and the fractures, all of it. This takes real effort. Our whole society pushes the notion of endless upgrades, of morphing into someone else, sharper, tougher, more accomplished, more appealing, and woven into that is the whisper that your current self falls short. But imagine if you're already sufficient, if you've been sufficient all along. Not due to accomplishments or merits, but purely because you're present, because you are. Something infused life into you. Name it as you like: God, the cosmos, the profound enigma, existence. No matter the label, it sparked you into reality without your okay, without requiring you to earn it up front. You arrived wrapped in love before you could lift a finger to merit it. The dawn greets you daily without scanning your credentials. The breeze sustains your breath without a query. You're embraced by powers far greater and more abundant than you can imagine, where your mere presence serves as evidence of boundless affection. Once this truth truly registers, a transformation occurs. You start to understand that you're not some supplicant lingering outside life's entrance, pleading for mere crumbs. No, you're fully immersed in the banquet already. You're supported, cherished, and complete right now. From this state of abundance, you can offer affection without any conditions, not to gain approval or rewards, but because sharing love is innate to you. It's what naturally spills over when you're no longer guarding your heart or scrambling for validation. When individuals connect from such a place of sufficiency, an entirely new dynamic emerges. Gone is the frenzy, the clinging, the perpetual worry over whether the bond will endure or dissolve. In its place arises a gentle flow, a mutual acknowledgement. They don't rely on one another for wholeness. Thus, they select each other purely out of desire, not compulsion. And that voluntary decision, untainted by pressure or lack, surpasses countless frantic vows in value. This is affection that tracks no debts, that remains warm even when you fall short of ideals, that gazes upon you in your darkest moments without wavering, for it was never rooted in your achievements to begin with. It stemmed from the undeniable reality of your existence, and existence itself can't err. It can't let anyone down. It just endures. Yet, to speak candidly, such affection is uncommon, not due to its complexity, but because so few pause their endless pursuit to uncover it. They're perpetually seeking externally for what resides solely inside. They shift from one partner to another, from one connection to the next, forever anticipating that the upcoming one will transform everything, forever convinced that locating the ideal match will at last align all pieces. But it never does, since the issue wasn't about discovering the perfect counterpart. The issue lay in embodying the flawed self. You can't connect with another at depths unexplored within yourself. If you've never lingered in stillness amid your inner reflections, anxieties, or wounds, you'll never truly abide with someone else's. If you've yet to pardon your own shortcomings, you'll withhold forgiveness from them too. If solitude feels like a void to you, you'll transform every partnership into a desperate buoy. And others perceive this instinctively. They detect when they're summoned to plug an inner chasm. It wears them down. So, prior to pursuing affection, before concluding that another is essential to fulfill you, attempt this instead. Spend time alone with your essence. Truly immerse in your own company, free from Diversions without devices, clamor, or ceaseless activity, just you and your awareness. Observe what arises. Acknowledge the unease, the fidgeting, the inner critic insisting on more productive pursuits. Then recognize that critic isn't your core. It's merely an echo, a routine, an imprint from your past. Beneath the clamor lies quietude. Within that quietude dwells serenity, not the sort from solving every puzzle, but from releasing the need to. The serenity of mere vitality, of inhaling and exhaling, of inhabiting the present without demanding it conform to expectations. When you brush against that serenity, even briefly, a tension within eases. From that ease, true affection unfolds. Not the possessive, demanding variety, but one that bestows without tallying, one that lingers or departs, guided by authentic concern, not duty. And the wonder here is this: as you unearth that serenity internally, you begin to perceive it in those around you. You identify individuals who draw from their own reserves, who seek neither repair nor completion from you. When such souls encounter one another, it's not a tale of salvation. It's two integrated presences opting to journey side by side temporarily, exchanging gifts, drawing wisdom from each other, evolving in tandem, yet always retaining their individuality. Herein lies the profound paradox. The instant you cease craving affection, you open to welcoming it. The instant you abandon the hunt, it arrives, for you're no longer extending an empty hand in desperation. You're engaging others from a position of plenty, with offerings to share, able to extend freely, since generosity doesn't deplete you. People are magnetically pulled toward this. They gravitate because it's exceptional to encounter someone who isn't endlessly extracting, who doesn't sap vitality, who doesn't wield the bond to quench an insatiable craving. Thus, if your goal is to love and be loved, commence internally. Cease striving to merit it. Cease demonstrating your worthiness. Cease the acts, the facades, the twists into forms you assume will appeal. Turn toward your inner world instead. Forge harmony with the self you encounter there. Not through mending every flaw, but by embracing that nothing requires alteration. No need for repairs. You're not a work in progress. You're not flawed or unfinished. You're a vibrant, pulsing embodiment of existence. And that's plenty. It's more than sufficient right from the core. Love isn't a pursuit or a reward to claim. It's your essence. It emerges from within you effortlessly, like sunlight radiating from the sky. And whether it's reciprocated or not matters less, since you're not offering it to receive something back. You're sharing because it's who you are. Through that sharing, you uncover a profound truth. You realize you were never lacking to begin with. You were always abundant. You were always cherished. You simply lost sight of it for a time. Once you recall it, once you truly perceive it, the world shifts. You quit pleading for scraps and see that you're already seated at the banquet. You cease hunting for a partner to make you whole and grasp that you were never divided from the start. You abandon the effort to merit affection and instead embody it fully. From that embodiment, from that abundance spilling over, you connect with people, not as hollow containers desperate to be topped up, but as streams converging with streams, each brimming from its own origin, merging not from scarcity, but from the pure delight of mingling briefly. This is the kind of love that endures through shifting fortunes. This is the affection that stays sweet even when hopes go unmet. This is the bond that witnesses your deepest flaws without flinching, because it never hinged on your finest moments. It stemmed from the awareness that under every facade, every part you play, every tale you spin, you share the same vitality, the same awareness, the same essence that animates all things and all souls. How could existence withhold its own devotion? So let me extend this call to you. Cease scanning the horizon for love. Drop the quest to prove yourself deserving. Forgo the acts and illusions. Turn inside instead. Encounter your true self without reservation. Embrace every bit of who you are, not out of flawlessness, but because flawlessness was never the point. From that embrace, from that serenity, observe the transformation. See how affection starts streaming from you without strain. See how the fitting souls enter your path, not to rescue you, but to revel alongside. See how existence itself wraps around you like the warmth you've longed for forever. The devotion you crave isn't lurking elsewhere, ready to be unearthed. It's here within, poised for acknowledgement. And when you notice it, when you truly comprehend it, you'll see that you were never forsaken, never isolated, never partial. You were eternally cradled by something immense, boundless, entirely unconditional, so expansive you overlooked it while chasing something finite, something you could seize and shape. But authentic devotion defies capture. It invites only release into it, and in that release, you awaken to the fact that you embody it. You always have, and you always will.